In that particular flat building and all the neighboring buildings, creaky shutters were closed and tied with petticoat strings to the window bars. At the time, Boori Ma was working all the way down on the second floor landing. She looked up the ladder like stairs, and as the sound of falling water tightened around her, she knew her quills were turning into yogurt. But then she recalled her conversation with Mrs. Dalal. And so she continued at the same pace to sweep the dust, cigarette ends, and lozenge wrappers from the rest of the steps until she reached the letterboxes at the bottom. To keep out the wind, she rummaged through her baskets for some newspapers and crammed them into the diamond shaped openings of the collapsible gate. Then, on a bucket of coals, she set her lunch to boil and monitored the flame with a plated palm fan. That afternoon, as was her habit, Burima reknotted her hair, united the loose end of a sari, and counted out her life savings. She had just woken up from a nap of 20 minutes, which she had taken on a temporary bed made from newspapers. The rain had stopped, and now the sour smell that rises from wet mango leaves was hanging low over the alley. On certain afternoons, Purima visited her fellow residents. She enjoyed drifting in and out of the various households. The residents, for their part, assured Purima that she was always welcome. They never drew the latch bars across the doors except at night. They went about their business, scolding children or adding up expenses or picking stones out of the evening rice. From time to time, she was handed a glass of tea. The cracker tin was passed in her direction, and she helped children shoot chips across the carom board. Knowing not to sit on the furniture, she crouched instead in doorways and hallways and observed gestures and manners in the same way a person can watch traffic in a foreign city. On this particular afternoon, Purima decided to accept Mrs. Dalal's invitation. Her back still itched even after napping on the newspapers, and she was beginning to want some prickly heat powder after all. She picked up her broom. She never felt quite herself without it, and was about to climb upstairs when a rickshaw pulled up to the collapsible gate. It was Mr. Dalal. The years he had spent filing receipts had left him with purple crescents under his eyes. But today, his gaze was bright. The tip of his tongue played between his teeth, and in the clamp of his thighs, he held two small ceramic basins. Borima, I have a job for you. Help me carry these basins upstairs. He pressed a folded handkerchief to his forehead and throat and gave the rickshaw driver a coin. Then he and Burima carried the basins all the way up to the third floor. It wasn't until that they were inside the flat that he finally announced to Mrs. Dalal, to Burima, and to a few other residents who had followed them out of curiosity the following things. That is, ours filing receipts for a distributor of rubber tubes, pipes, and valve fittings had ended. That the distributor himself, who craved fresher air and whose profits had doubled, was opening a second branch in Burdwan. And that, following an assessment of his sedulous performance over the years, the distributor was promoting Mr. Dalal to manage the College Street branch. In his excitement on his way home through the plumbing district, Mr. Dalal had bought two basins. What are we supposed to do with two basins in a two-room flat? Mrs. Dalal demanded. She had already been sulking over her lemon peels. Who ever heard of it? I still cook on kerosene. You refuse to apply for a phone, and I have yet to see the fridge you promised when we married. You expect two basins to make up for all of that?